Hello, everyone. How are we today? This is another interesting time here with me on my channels. It's your girl Jaden. I hope we're all doing well. This is going to be some sort of a continuation of the last conversation we had. Trust me, guys. It has been a moment of excitement for me. I've heard from some of my friends, heard from some of my colleagues, I've heard from families, and everyone seems to be happy. Everyone seems to think this is definitely a good way to reach out to the people, to give back, because whether you like it or not, life is about giving back. If you did not have a certain experience growing up, if you did not experience some structure, comfort, apart from comfort, support growing up, I think there's no better way of appreciating where you have come to than reaching out to the people and making a difference. For me, that's the whole essence of living. It doesn't have to be material things. It doesn't have to be money. Money is good, but yes, information is power, and for that reason, I would always, I would never say it enough. I would always be thankful to YouTube. I would always be grateful for being alive at this time and for having this opportunity to reach out to people and give back. Give back, guys. It's all about service to humanity. This for the time being is my main focus, is my main motivation for deciding to do what I'm doing. But hey, I can't do this on my own. I need that support. I need you to subscribe, please. I remember I said the last time, you have to have that conviction, but again, it's important to me. For me to be heard, I need to have that support. For me to make that much impact, if you would like, I need to have that support from you. It doesn't matter how many videos I put out on YouTube, if it is not watched, if you don't like, if you don't subscribe, if you don't spread the words, it would just be sitting down there. It would be almost like not saying anything, and that person whose life would have been changed by whatever the content of this message is would still not have the opportunity to feel that change. I always promise to have a few intro, guys. I'm sorry, sometimes I get carried away. When you start something new, it becomes initially overwhelming, and trust me, this is not easy for me as well, but I am led by the conviction I have that I have to say and do the things that I'm doing now on YouTube. I am also this sort of person that goes into something when I feel it is right. So within me, I feel like I am doing the right thing, and I'm hoping that with your support, I would overcome all these challenges. I promise to have a structure. I promise to write before I speak, but I've written some things down, but I haven't come to the point where I would make it that much formal. For now, and I feel like just come to YouTube and say it the way you feel. I haven't been editing. You would come across some typos. You could come across some errors. It could be pronunciation errors. It could be whatever. I am not English, English is not my first language, so to speak. So some of us are also learning. And these are the things that we always allow ourselves without knowing to be discouraged, from doing what we feel we should do at any particular time. It doesn't matter, guys. there's no perfect system, there's no perfect human being. You can't find one anywhere. So rather than focus on those shortcomings that we have, that might tell us, those little voices in our head, oh, you're not good enough, oh, you're not strong enough, oh, you're not educated enough, oh, you're not beautiful enough. It's always a matter of you telling yourself, you know what, I can do this. I am good enough. I am beautiful in my own way. Yes, I might not be the standard of beauty according to whatever the standard out there is. There are huge obstacles that will stop you if you decide to allow them to. But it's always about, what do you think of yourself? What do you make of yourself? Who do you think you are? So I wanted this to be a continuation of the conversation we had concerning protecting that vulnerable girl. I feel like that conversation rather has to keep on going, at least for the time being. I would like to hear what you feel about it. I would like to hear your reaction. It's going to be interactive. Like I said, I don't have the right to question anybody's parenting skills, but I just feel some things have to be said, some things have to be put out there. And also to the young people, to the girl child, I want you to take some responsibility for yourself. Take some responsibility for the things you allow to happen to you. I understand we are vulnerable. I mean, at your age, I was vulnerable. There's ignorance, not in a bad way, but just generally lack of knowledge. Coupled with the fact that some of us don't even get that free space, that safety net where we talk about our fears, our emotions, ask our questions, So these are on its own are factors that would normally stop you from being that forthcoming with having these conversations with your mom, your dad, and sorry for those who have lost their parents, but in Africa, like I said, in Nigeria, we live communally. I still believe it happens. We still do. It doesn't have to be parents. It doesn't have to be aunties and uncles, and they're role models. And I think we should get to that point where we speak out and reach out. Thank God this is an internet age. This is 2019. We have the opportunity now, like never before. You can actually reach out to people on social media, the people that you want to be like your role models. Share your fears. There are professionals, there are people you can confide in. You can make it anonymous. It doesn't have to be too much details. But I feel we need to empower ourselves, the young people, especially the girl child. You need to come to the point where you begin to change your mindset. Do not let anybody put anything in your head without your permission. You should know who you are. You should know who you're created to be. You should aspire. Don't let anyone limit you. Don't let anyone tell you you're not good enough. Don't let that man come around you and give you a script of who he thinks you are or you should be. If you're not comfortable in any environment, please speak up. If you're not comfortable with whatever relationship, if someone is touching you in a way that you don't like, if someone is having a conversation that makes you uncomfortable, you should be able to look them in the face and say, you know what, whatever their name, uncle, I'm really not feeling this conversation. Please, can we, or you can even say, I may talk to my mom about this. I am going to speak to my dad about this, Don't feel intimidated. Don't feel timid. I think the problem back home is not really about our young girls, our teenagers feeling shy. It's not really about are teenagers feeling intimidated. I think it's more of the system, it's more of the mindset, it's more of the conversations not happening. Children should be free, young people, teenagers should be free to say what we were raised to be respectful. Yes, it's okay to be respectful, don't get me wrong. By all means, respect your elders. But then, I know that respect is earned. If someone is coming around you to abuse you, you shouldn't keep quiet. You shouldn't still pretend to be respectful. In hindsight, I shared an experience. I think I remember I said there was actually another experience I had, which I would probably talk about in my next video. You know, if I knew what I know now, nothing stopped me from having that conversation with my parents. Yes, I would have been embarrassed to talk about some of these things. But knowing what I know now, I wouldn't want our teenagers, our young people to still feel constrained in situations where they are not able to speak up for themselves. If someone earns your respect, you give it to them. If someone doesn't earn your respect, you have no business respecting that person. If anything, they should become ashamed of themselves. They should become uncomfortable around you. They could brand you rude. They could call you arrogant, but it's okay. It's all about self-care. So I'm thinking that apart from the roles the parents need to play in protecting these young, vulnerable girls, the girls need to be aware. When you first feel uncomfortable, the first moment you notice this sort of traits in someone, be that person your relative, your cousin, your uncle, even friends, you should be having that conversation at the first point of you feeling that way. You should be able to tell them, I don't want to continue this sort of friendship. And if they insist, or if they make you uncomfortable further, or if they become intimidating or squaring up to you, speak to an adult, speak to your parents. And when they do, parents, we have to believe them. You have to validate their fears. At that time, at that point, you need to be reassuring your young girl. You know what? I believe you. Leave that to me. I will find out what happened. Don't say, shut up your mouth, you useless girl. No, that's toxic. What you're doing is disempowering that girl. What you're doing is abuse. You shouldn't make it even more difficult, because if your daughter, if your girl child is not comfortable to speak to you about her fears, however ridiculous you think they are, they will struggle to speak to other people. You should be the safest place for your young growing child to explain things, to talk about. It doesn't matter how ugly that conversation is. You should be all ears. Listen and reassure, and at the end of the conversation, take steps further. If you need to tell someone off, by all means. If you need to raise it with people, if you need to call family meetings, because I tell you, 90% of abuse is usually within the family. You know what they say about who knows you. It is never someone from afar. There's a saying that if there's a leaf that is being attacked, for you to know, to find the ant that is eating that leaf, just check right under the leaf. It's never far away. So it has also been proven statistically, I mean, the evidence is huge, that in young girls, 95, if not more, % of the abuse happens in household. It happens by cousins. It is being perpetrated by cousins, by uncles, by even sometimes parents. You would not believe this. But like I said, I'm not making these things up. And back home, it's still very prevalent. Abroad, in more developed countries, everyone knows you can't cross the line with children. You can't mess around with even your neighbors will ring the police. Whether or not they are being speculative, they want to be sure that young person is safe. But in Nigeria, people still think it's okay. People think, I don't know, it's just cultural. But I want that culture to begin to evolve. Systems evolve, religion evolves, culture evolves, people are getting civilized more and more. We're having more awareness and empowerment. I want everybody to be awake, everybody to be conscious of these things, because it's so huge, it's so prevalent. When you hear some of these stories in my guys, is huge. You would not believe this. Abuse will happen right under your roof. They will come in, you will give them your food, you will give them your clothing, you will give them whatever, money. But when you leave the room, when you leave your house, you have no idea what happens to your treasures, to the most vulnerable thing around you that you have the sole responsibility to look after. You're letting them down because you don't understand. So I think it has to be balanced. It has to be 50-50. Parents need to be awake, conscious of some of these things, our environment, and then the young people take responsibility. Don't put up with what you're not comfortable with. You have the world on your palms when you're young, but you need the right information to make the right decisions. You don't need validation from everyone. It doesn't matter what people say. What matters is what you think of yourself. What the things you're doing, the information and the things you're allowing in your space. When you grow up, you will realize that the world is huge. It's such a global place to be. It's such a good time to be alive. Like I said, all these things you think they are saying to you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters is who you think you are. Believe in yourself. Don't be intimidated. If you're not comfortable, speak out. You can talk about sexual abuse. You can talk about rape. If anyone, and the more we speak up, the more it goes away. If you report to the system back home, it's a shame. Nothing will be done. So rather than wait for it to happen, and again, when you consider what we talked about, mental health, it's all adds up. The experiences you have growing up now as a child will always come, it will always stay with you, I can assure you. So rather than allow things to happen and begin to struggle to fix it, stop it before it happens. Prevention, they say, is better than cure. If somebody walks into your house or comes to see or sends you, some of them happen online now. When we were growing up, we didn't have access to the internet like we do now. We didn't have mobile phones and all whatnot. But now everybody does, which is a good news. It's a great thing. You can block people off. You can tell them not to call you. You can speak to your family. You can talk to the authorities. You can shame them on whatever platform you see them. Let's even begin to do that. Rather than bottle it up and keep, it becomes problematic in future. I've come across young people, even in this country, who struggle to form relationships, all form of relationships. When you speak to them, they will tell you everybody is the same. They will tell you everyone lies. Everyone is out there to exploit me, but it's not true. However, it's true to them. That's their truth because of the experiences they've had. It becomes traumatic in the future, even to the point of not wanting to have anything to do with the opposite sex. But it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. These girls have to go through therapies, they have to go through different kinds of intervention, and even at some point, medication, they become suicidal because they can't handle the shame, the pain, the agony, and it affects them. Even parenting in the future, for some of them who eventually end up in relationships, you know. So guys, I think it's really important that we take this further. Let's take responsibility for our own safety, for our own mental health, because the experiences we have in childhood, it's part of psychodynamic theories of mental health. All the experiences we have in childhood, whether traumatic, whether pleasant, whatever the experience, they form who we become in the future. They add up. So let's be conscious of that. Let's not allow these predators, you know, to let's not make life easier for them, because they're not making it easy for us. If a man loves you, if your uncle cares for you, you should be talking about things that will profit your life, that will benefit you growing up. He should be telling you about things that will be useful, and he will be having that conversation in the open, you know. He shouldn't be sneaking in and out when your parents are away, working, because at the end of the day, parents have to do what they have to do again, you know, to support you, to make life easier for you. So we can't blame our parents for not always being there. And there are other factors that can limit parents' involvement. There could be ill health, you know, there could be ignorance. Ignorance on its own is huge. So rather than blame, let's take responsibility. You know, we need to stay safe. Young girls would need to stay safe. You know, they need to be free to develop, to blossom, to get to the age of maturity. They have the right to choose what sort of life they want to live for themselves. You know. Anyway, I feel like I've poured out. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for spreading this news. Tell your friends. Hopefully I'll have more fans than haters, because you know what they say, it doesn't really matter what you do. People see what they want to see. Please choose love. Choose to like this video, share, subscribe, and yes, look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care and stay blessed. Bye now.